Hey guys, Lorraine back with you with another video, making several cards tonight using the Simon Says Stamp February 2021 card kit, the Love You Very Much kit, using a slew of products, some Heidi Swap metallic pink paste, my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because I'm going to be Copic coloring, VersaFine Onyx Black ink, multiple Copic markers, using my Nouveau spatula to go ahead and use that paste with the stencil. The Simon Says Stamp Love You Very Much stamp set. The Simon Says Stamp Tumbling Hearts. In my third video, I actually even pull out the Simon Says Stamp Happy Fall Y'all set because I thought the bears would go well, so I want to kind of incorporate those two stamp sets for a little bit of a scene card. So with this first card, I am going to go ahead and stamp out my bear with the Copic friendly Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because I am going to Copic color him in. I do have my new Misty 2.0, which I think is a massively fantastic upgrade from the original. I mean, the original was great, don't get me wrong. Just completely a game changer for stamping and card making and scrapbooking. But this new upgraded 2.0 version is just hands down the bomb. The lid overhangs the base so you can easily pull it up and open it. You don't have to put a little makeshift tape handle on it, which you've seen in probably many people's videos. So you can just go ahead and lift it. It makes it a lot easier. There is a well for your bar stamp. It does come with that bar stamp, excuse me, the bar magnet instead of the round magnets, which makes it fantastic. There's improvements to the ruler. Everything is kind of etched in, lined up better. It's fantastic. If you have the original Misty and you appreciate it, you will appreciate the 2.0 version even more. It is a worthy investment, trust me. So for this slimline card, I do have just a piece of white cardstock in a scallop cut. I am going to go ahead and use this stencil, and I do know that this is a 6x6 stencil, which obviously does not cover the entire piece of slimline panel, but I am going to go ahead and just kind of make the center of the card the focal point, so I'm okay with it not covering the whole panel. This is actually the first time I'm using this particular Heidi Swap paste, and it's not really a paste, as you can see, it's more of a cream. It was very wet, very fluidy, very liquidy, very thin consistency. Not what you would think of in terms of a texture paste or a glitter paste or glitter gel. Those usually have a little bit more stability to them. This did not. And of course, you can see there was a lot wasted. It was, again, my first time using this. It's not a jar, so I couldn't scrape it and put it back in. So it did have to get wasted, but lesson learned. Now I know not to do that. Going to go ahead and pull that stencil off, set it aside, and off camera I do go ahead and wash the spatula and the stencil in the sink with some hot water and just some dish soap to get that off. Again, first time, I didn't know how it was going to dry. I didn't want it to harden onto everything and not be able to be removed. I know with many of the pastes and gels, if you leave them on and they dry on your tools, yeah, it's a done deal. So I'm going to go ahead and Copic this bear in. Sorry, not quite sure what was happening with my camera there. It was an issue with the camera because the lighting did not kind of dim on me in my craft room while I was working on this card. It is only for a few moments though, and then it does come back, so bear with it. A little bit darker than I would want it to be, but you kind of get the gist. So I'm going to start with that heart, and this heart is going to be a pink one, starting with the darkest, and then the middle, and then in with the lightest. And I do go back and forth, just making sure that I have good coverage. Things are well blended. I go from the dark to the medium to the light, back to the dark to the medium to the light to the medium to the dark, just to make sure it is the way that I want it to be. Those are the great qualities of the Copics, is that you can just keep applying and blending and smoothing, and it turns out really well. I actually, for a very long time, hated Copics and thought that I was absolutely terrible at Copic coloring. But I've been practicing and watching videos, and there are some phenomenal Copic colorists on YouTube. It's just some absolute amazing Copic colorists. Callie Latavola Taylor, Nicole Spohr. I mean, they're just fantastic. Christina Werner. There's just some people out there that are really, really good with the Copics. And of course, I am nowhere near as good as they are. But I think I'm getting better, and I think I kind of like what I'm doing. I don't know what you guys think. Leave some comments if you'd like. But I like how it turned out, so I'm happy with it. And you know, that's what crafting is, right? You do it because you want to make something, you want to be productive and be creative, and you want to have fun, right? So as long as you like what you're doing, who cares if anybody else likes it? And you're giving somebody a handmade card, so I'm sure they're going to be appreciative. They're not going to sit there and critique every little thing that you do. Anyway, that's my motto when I'm making something. So this bear I decided to make kind of a caramely, tanny, creamy color. Didn't want to go extremely dark for him. I didn't want to wash out his little eyes and make it so that you couldn't see his face. So I decided to go with a lighter E combination on this particular bear, and the colors that I was using on this bear were E57, E35, and E21. And again, just start with the lightest color everything in, then go back in with a medium, and then the light over the medium, and then I kind of go back and forth between the light, medium, and put some dark in there. And again, just going and reworking everything and making it be the shading and the consistency that I want it to be. And I was very happy with him. I decided to make the insides of his ears and his nose black. I could have gone pink. I'm not quite sure why I chose to go with black, other than I just wanted to go ahead and make it black. But again, I'm happy with how it turned out, and that's all that matters. I did go back after I finished his face, and I had a Sharpie pen, one of those very, very fine tip Sharpie pens, and I did re-emphasize his little black eyes and his mouth, his smile. I did go back over them with the black Sharpie just to make it stand out a little bit. Anytime you put any sort of color over the black ink, it's going to mute it a little bit. And I like it to be crisp. Kind of why I guess I go with the Onyx black ink for my sentiments, because I find that that gives me the crispest image that I can get. I'm going to go ahead and finish up his feet and his legs and his little paws with the shading. He'd be kind of a funny looking bear if I did everything with that. And then after I get this bear all finished, I am going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment in the heart using the VersaFine Onyx black ink. That sentiment will read, "I'm here for you." And then I will go ahead and cut this bear out with my Brother Scan and Cut. There are dies available for this particular stamp set. They were not included in the kit, which is what I had purchased. I had gotten the kit. However, I have ordered them. They are currently en route to me. So they are available to purchase separately if you would like to. Going to go ahead and throw him back in my MISTI so I can get that sentiment stamped in the middle of the heart. And of course, this whole time that I'm doing this Copic coloring, my stenciled hearts are currently drying. You definitely want to make sure that they are completely and utterly dry before you put this card together. I'm going to go ahead and stamp a little sub sentiment that says, "Love you, friend." Again, using that onyx black ink. And then I am going to go ahead and use the Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide. Just want to eliminate some of the white edges around those corners. Kind of frame it in with some of the pink, take some of the focus off of those white corners, kind of just have it all blend in. And then I will start assembling my card. I'm using a lighter pink bottom layer, which will get adhered directly to the slimline card base with some tape runner. The scalloped panel will have some Big Mama foam tape. That way it can be lifted up a little bit off of that pink panel. The bear and that little sub sentiment are also going to have some of that Big Mama foam tape. And from past experience, I did go ahead and stop filming while I was taking the backing paper off of that foam tape. You're welcome, because you did not want to see me struggle with that forever and ever. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting them together. That little sub-sentiment will go right underneath of that bear, and then eventually it will read, "I'm here for you, love you, friend." I do finish the card up with some drops. I use some black, some clear Nuvo drops, and then a shade of a light pink Perfect Pearl drop. Just going to go ahead and add them around the edges and especially up in those corners. Again, taking some of the white empty space from those corners away. I always start my drops on a side piece of paper just to get that first initial drop and the air bubbles out. You always want to also then drop your card or tap it on something, again, to get any extra air out and to flatten those a little bit. And there's that finished first card. Second card, I'm going to use a piece of the pattern paper that came with the set. Also going to use some Distress Oxide in Candied Apple. I did another bear with Copic coloring. This time he has a red heart, and he is a little bit darker. I used some darker browns on this particular bear. Could have done a better job with taping my stencil down, but again, I was making dinner at the same time. I was a little bit in a rush to get back to the stove, we'll admit. But it's okay. I got it the way I needed it to be. Got my hearts all covered in with the red. Had a little bit of a smudge there on the bottom, but I'm okay with that. This card is a relatively clean and simple card. That white label was cut from Gina K Designs labels dies, so that's just going to go right on there. The bear is going to go on top. Again, I'm going to go ahead and put a sentiment in the heart, and it's going to say, "Hi, friend." using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink as always. If you can hear Frozen in the background, my granddaughter is watching Frozen. So apologies if you can. Going to go ahead and stamp up that sentiment. Go ahead and get that on there, and then start putting the card together. No foam tape on this one. Just going to go ahead and adhere everything down with my tape runner. Nice and easy. And I do always like to turn my cards over. That way I can make sure everything is adhered from the back. These distress oxides do stay wet for an extended period. So there is big time smudge capability there. So you want to make sure that you don't smudge that. So I just flip it over and do it from the back. Going to go ahead and adhere some of the red sequin hearts. These did also come in the kit. Going to use my Nuvo glue as well as my jewel picker and my all-in-one tool there, which broke years ago, but I still use it because it's functional as my little pokey tool. Going to add 3 in the lower right corner and then 2 in the upper left corner. I do like to try to stay with the even numbers, again, just to be more pleasant to the eye. For some reason, people do tend to favor odd numbers rather than even. Do have a spare strip of that striped pattern paper, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on the inside just for some interest. And then that is going to be my easy and quick and simple card number 2. Card number 3 is going to involve much more Copic coloring. I actually did pull out, like I said, the Simon Says Stamp Happy Fall Y'all set to go with this. The bears are the same sort of bear. They obviously designed by the same people, so they have that same look. I thought, why not? Why not make an outdoor scene? So I am going to go ahead and bring in the Happy Fall Y'all bear, but we're just going to make him a Valentine's bear in pinks and purples. So we are going to do a lighter bear color for him again, and I couldn't even tell you which Copic markers I used for this particular card because there were so many of them. As you can see, I have my whole collection there, and I'm just pulling left and right. By the end of this video, I've got Copic markers everywhere. But yeah, just going to go ahead and do that in. We're going to have a hilled background with some clouds, but everything is going to be pink. Pink clouds, pink rolling hills, pink trees. This is definitely going to be a pink and purple Valentine's card. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop yabbering and put some music on. That way you can just enjoy the coloring, and see you at the end. just finishing up the Copic coloring, and we're going to go ahead and start on the background. Again, this is going to be a very pink and purple card, so everything is going to be pink and purple. I'm going to go ahead and take my white panel, and again, using my stencils that I used in a previous video, made for my Lawn Fawn Rolling Hills borders. And I'm just going to make some rolling hills, and they're going to overlap a little bit. Obviously, this stencil does not span the entire length of the card, so we're just going to make some rolling hills. Have some dips in there, like you would see, you know, out in nature if you had a series of hills. Clean that up. I will use my Favorites Thing cloud stencils, and I am going to go back and forth between the milled lavender and the worn lipstick. Wanted to have some purple thrown in there to match that purple tree that I had made, so I am going to alternate back and forth. And I'm sorry, I wound up using the Victorian Velvet for those clouds, not the worn lipstick. So I am going to go ahead and alternate back and forth, taking that all the way down so it's matching up as close as I can get it to the hill. And again, clouds are never perfect. The sky is never perfect. So I don't shoot for perfection in nature, because you really don't ever see perfection in nature. I am also going to go ahead and frame around the card. But before I do that, I am going to go back to using that stencil. And I thought it would be kind of cute to have some falling hearts from the sky. And I'm just using a very light hand over this stencil to get almost sort of an ombre effect, darker at the top, a little bit lighter at the bottom. Just something catch the eye, some sort of interest. I'm going to go ahead and use that worn lipstick to frame the card. Just a little bit, nothing overly heavy. And now I'm going to go ahead and start assembling. I did also cut these images out with my Brother Scan and Cut. There are dies for the Happy Fall Y'all set. They are in the same order as the dies for the Love You Very Much. They are currently en route to me. Cannot wait to get them, because I really do like working with these bear stamp sets. Stamping my Hello Love sentiment in the heart that the bear is holding. And I'm going to start using my Nouveau glue to adhere my trees that are in the background. The trees and the bears will be more in the foreground, so they are going to be adhered using the Big Mama foam tape, just so they can be lifted up a little bit. I'm going to use that same Nouveau glue to adhere that panel to my card base. Being very careful just to pat it down gently. I am going to make a panel to go inside the card as well. I typically don't. My cards are usually blank on the inside. That way you can just write a message. But this one I just decided to give it a little something something. So I'm going to restamp that bear just in black. Not going to color it in, not going to do anything with it. going to put him in that lower left corner, and then directly next to it, I will go ahead and stamp my inside sentiment. And I will use that Worn Lipstick Distress Oxide. That way I can tie in the pink from the front of the card to the inside of the card. And I will also go ahead and use that glue to adhere that inside panel down. To go ahead and finish it, I will be using some of the honeybee hearts in white and the clear pink. I did not wind up using the lighter, smaller pink hearts. I did use the translucent ones and the white ones. And I just kind of splattered them on there and liberally placed them just to give it a little bit more interest. I don't know what it was about these particular hearts, but my jewel picker was just not having a good time picking them up. I'm usually very successful with this jewel picker. I usually don't have problems, but I was fighting with these bad boys today. They did not want to stay stuck on there. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing them down. Again, using that Nouveau glue. That is my favorite glue. I use it for almost everything. It does dry clear and matte. So I know that you can see a little bit of a milkiness behind those clear hearts. That is only because the glue is still wet. It will dry clear. So you're not really going to know that there's any glue behind those hearts. And go ahead and finish adhering those last couple ones down. I did also use my Wink of Stella, which I haven't broken out in a long time. And I put some glitter on the heart speech bubble there. And then in the pink heart that the bear is holding, I did apply some Wink of Stella to that as well, just to give it a little interest. And I did also apply that to some of the sweater on the bear. Just kind of wanted to tie it all together, and I only did it on the darker pink sections. After that, I took my Jelly Roll pen, put some highlights in there. Again, just to give it a little bit more interest. Don't want to say it makes it look more real, because how often do you see pink clouds and pink trees and pink rolling hills? But it definitely gives it a bit more interest. So there you have it. That is going to be my third card for the Love You Very Much set.